First contact, first blood. Admiral Kaida Reyes stood on the observation deck of the UES Dauntless, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she gazed at the stars. 20 years of service had etched lines around her eyes, but they still burned with the same intensity that had earned her command of humanity's frontier fleet. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander Tomek approached, datapad in hand. Long-range sensors have detected unusual energy signatures in the Procyon system. They don't match any known human technology. Reyes nodded slowly. Humanity had expanded cautiously into the stars, establishing colonies on 17 worlds across 12 systems. They had encountered microbial life, even some primitive aquatic species, but never anything that built starships. "Show me," she said. The holographic display flared to life, revealing a cluster of vessels moving with precision through the outer reaches of Procyon, where humanity's newest mining operations were just beginning. The ships were sleek, organic-looking, with sweeping lines that reminded Reyes of manta rays gliding through water. "Their energy output is substantial," Tomek said, unable to hide the concern in his voice. "And they're deploying something at each of our automated mining stations." Reyes felt a chill run down her spine. First contact. After centuries of wondering, humanity was about to meet another spacefaring civilization. But something about their methodical approach to human installations felt wrong. Have they responded to standard greeting protocols? "No, Admiral. And 3 of our automated stations have gone silent in the past hour." Reyes straightened her uniform. "Notify Earth Command. Prepare a diplomatic vessel. I want our first impression to be peaceful, but put the fleet on high alert." The diplomatic vessel Harmony departed 12 hours later, carrying Earth's specially trained first contact team. Captain Eli Vance commanded the mission, with 3 diplomats and 2 xenolinguists aboard. Their mission: establish peaceful communication with the unknown species. The Harmony was unarmed. A gesture of peace. Its escort consisted of 3 small scout ships, including the Perseverance, commanded by Lieutenant Riley Jong. Entering communication range, Vance announced as they approached the alien fleet, broadcasting greetings in all formats. The alien vessels, now numbering 23, shifted formation. Their movements were fluid, almost beautiful. The largest ship, nearly twice the size of the Harmony, moved to the center. "They're responding," the communications officer said, excitement evident in her voice. "Receiving data packet." The screens flickered with strange symbols, flowing and changing. The xenolinguists worked feverishly, their specialized AI assistants parsing patterns. After 20 minutes, Dr. Seto looked up, eyes wide. "It's a language map," she said. "They're giving us basic communication tools." They'd done this before. The diplomatic team worked through the night, establishing rudimentary communication. The aliens called themselves the Meridian Collective, a vast empire spanning hundreds of systems. Their message seemed cordial, inviting the humans to a face-to-face meeting aboard their command vessel. Vance felt uneasy. They've been suspiciously efficient at this. They mentioned they've encountered 78 species before us. Dr. Seto countered. "They have protocols." Vance nodded reluctantly. "Prepare the shuttle. I'll lead the team personally." Lieutenant Jong caught him before he boarded. "Something doesn't feel right, Captain. Their technology is far beyond ours, yet they're treating us as equals. Why?" Vance patted Jong's shoulder. "That's why I need you vigilant out here. Keep the Perseverance at full readiness. If anything happens, I'll get word to Earth," Jong promised. The diplomatic team departed in their shuttle, crossing the void to the massive Meridian vessel. Its hull rippled with colors that shouldn't exist in vacuum, blues and greens that seemed to absorb starlight rather than reflect it. Their reception aboard the alien ship was elaborate. The Meridians stood nearly 8 feet tall, their bodies covered in what appeared to be overlapping scales that shifted color with their movements. Their faces featured 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and they communicated through both sounds and color patterns on their skin. The leader, who translated its name as First Observer, welcomed them with a gesture that resembled a bow. "Your species is young," it said through the translation system, "yet you have spread far in a short time. The collective finds this interesting." The diplomatic team was guided through chambers of breathtaking beauty, shown technologies beyond human understanding, and finally brought to a grand hall where a feast awaited. The Meridians explained that sharing sustenance was their traditional welcome for new species. Dr. Sato whispered to Vance, "This is going too well. They're showing us everything, explaining nothing." Vance nodded subtly. His military instincts were screaming danger. "Before we proceed," he said to First Observer, "I must ask your intentions in our territory. Several of our mining stations have gone silent." The colors on First Observer's scales shifted to deep red. "Ah, yes. A misunderstanding. Your primitive beacons were interfering with our sensors. We merely deactivated them." Vance felt the hair on his neck rise. Those stations had human personnel aboard. "Yes." First Observer's voice remained pleasant, but the colors darkening across its body told a different story. "Unfortunately, they resisted our standard integration protocols." The diplomatic team tensed. "Integration protocols? Where are our people?" Vance demanded, diplomatic protocol forgotten. First Observer's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "They have been processed. Their knowledge added to our collective understanding of your species. Quite informative, though physically fragile." The realization hit Vance like a sledgehammer. They had killed the mining crews, studied them, and now they'd lured the diplomatic team into their ship. Vance tapped his emergency transmitter twice, the signal to Zhang that things had gone catastrophically wrong. "We wish to return to our vessel," Vance said firmly. First Observer's scales rippled with a pattern the translators couldn't decode. "That will not be possible. Your species has valuable genetic and cultural data. The collective requires comprehensive sampling before determining your classification." The doors sealed. Meridian guards entered, carrying devices that hummed with energy. "Run," Vance shouted, drawing the small ceremonial sidearm he kept concealed. It wouldn't do much, but it might buy them time. Chaos erupted in the grand hall. The diplomats fled toward the shuttle bay, while Vance and the security team provided covering fire. The Meridian weapons fired beams of purple energy that disintegrated matter on contact. Lieutenant Zhang, monitoring from the Perseverance, received Vance's emergency signal and immediately brought the scout ship systems to full power. The other 2 escort vessels followed suit. "Something's wrong," Zhang told his crew. "Prepare for emergency extraction." Before they could act, the massive Meridian vessel fired. One escort ship vanished in a blinding flash. The second took a glancing hit that sheared off its port section, sending it spinning into the void. "Evasive maneuvers," Zhang shouted, taking manual control of the Perseverance. The small scout ship darted between weapon bursts, its agility its only advantage. Aboard the Meridian vessel, Vance and his team fought desperately toward their shuttle. 2 diplomats had already fallen. Dr. Sato was wounded, leaning heavily on the remaining security officer. "Get to the shuttle," Vance ordered, using the last of his ammunition to cover their retreat. "Tell Earth what happened here." Dr. Sato looked back, anguish in her eyes. "Captain, go." Vance charged the advancing Meridians, buying precious seconds with his life. 3 survivors made it to the shuttle. They launched amid a barrage of energy weapons, the shuttle's hull already compromised as they cleared the bay. Zhang brought the Perseverance alongside, extending a docking tube in a dangerous close-quarters maneuver. "Transfer your people now." The survivors barely made it across before the shuttle exploded. The Perseverance was rocked by the blast, but remained intact. "Jump drive charge," Zhang's navigator called. "Jump," Zhang ordered. The Perseverance vanished into faster-than-light travel just as the Meridian weapons found their range. In the aftermath, First Observer communicated with the Meridian collective leadership. Preliminary assessment complete. Human species, technologically underdeveloped, physically inferior. Minor resistance encountered. Recommends standard colonization protocols. The Meridian report concluded with a dismissive note, lone escape vessel detected. Pursuit deemed unnecessary. Primitive FTL capabilities. Intelligence value, negligible. But aboard the damaged Perseverance, Lieutenant Zhang and the survivors carried something the Meridians couldn't comprehend: the indomitable human spirit and crucial information about an enemy who had gravely underestimated humanity. "We need to reach Earth," Zhang said, determination hardening his features as he stared at the navigational display. "They think they've seen what humans are capable of. They have no idea." Behind them, the Meridian fleet began systematically dismantling human mining operations, confident they had encountered just another minor species to catalog and conquer. That was their first mistake, awakening the Armada. The Perseverance limped into Earth space 42 days later, its hull scared and systems failing. Lieutenant Zhang had pushed the damaged scout ship beyond its design limits, using every trick and shortcut to bring the warning home. Earth had changed in those 6 weeks. The loss of contact with the frontier fleet had triggered emergency protocols dormant since the resource wars. The planet's surface now bristled with defense systems, orbital platforms had been activated, and the shipyards around Mars and Jupiter's moons operated at maximum capacity. Grand Admiral Helena Cho met Zhang and the survivors personally. At 72, she was a legend, the architect of humanity's unified defense strategy and keeper of its greatest military secret. "Report, Lieutenant," she said, her voice soft but commanding. Zhang, exhausted and haunted by what he'd witnessed, straightened his posture. "The Meridian Collective, Admiral. They're unlike anything we've encountered. Their technology, their mindset, they see us as specimens, not equals." Dr. Sato, the only surviving diplomat, added, "They've encountered dozens of species before us. They categorize, study, then either subjugate or eliminate based on their assessment." Admiral Cho nodded grimly. "And what was their assessment of humanity?" "Primitive," Zhang replied. "Technologically inferior. Not worth pursuing." A thin smile crossed Cho's face. "Good. That works in our favor." She led them to a secure facility beneath the Himalayas, descending through layers of security until they reached a cavernous command center humming with activity. Holographic displays showed the status of human forces throughout the solar system and beyond. "For a century, we've prepared for this moment," Cho explained as they walked. "When the resource wars ended and the Earth Concordat was formed, our leaders made a decision. Our expansion would appear cautious, our technology deliberately understated." John frowned. "You mean we've been hiding our true capabilities?" "Exactly." Cho gestured to a massive holographic display showing hundreds of vessels, far more than humanity was known to possess. "This is Phoenix Fleet, hidden in the asteroid belt, the moons of Saturn, and the Kuiper objects. Ships with technology we've kept off our regular vessels." Dr. Seto gasped. "All this time?" "A precaution," Cho said. "One that's about to pay off. The Meridians encountered what we wanted them to see, a young, moderately advanced species taking its first tentative steps into the galaxy. They have no idea what's really waiting for them." General Maya Chen, Earth's foremost tactician, joined them at the display. Her artificial eyes, replacements after an accident in her youth, glowed faintly as they processed tactical data. "The Meridians will follow a predictable pattern," she explained. "Based on Zhang's intelligence, they classify species, then move methodically through their territory, establishing dominance before full colonization." She manipulated the holographic display, showing the likely Meridian advance. "They'll send small fleets to secure key systems, establish forward bases, then bring in their main colonization force. Standard Imperial tactics." Zhang nodded. They were already setting up something at the mining stations. "Quantum entanglement nodes," Chen said. "We detected their activation signature. They're building a communication network." Admiral Cho turned to Zhang. Lieutenant, you're being promoted to captain. The Perseverance is being repaired with our advanced systems. You'll lead Echo Squadron, small, fast ships that will be our eyes and ears. Zhang swallowed hard. Yes, Admiral. Dr. Sato, Cho continued, your knowledge of the Meridian language and culture is invaluable. You'll work with our intelligence division to develop psychological warfare strategies. Over the next 3 months, humanity executed its defense plan with precision that would have surprised the Meridians. Civilian populations were evacuated from frontier worlds to fortified inner colonies. Stealth satellites monitored Meridian movements. Echo Squadron, led by Captain Zhang, in the upgraded Perseverance, conducted daring reconnaissance missions, mapping Meridian supply lines and communication nodes. The Meridians advanced exactly as General Chen predicted, sending forward fleets to secure human worlds. They encountered abandoned colonies, automated defense systems that posed minimal challenge, and occasionally small human vessels that fled at their approach. First Observer, now commanding the subjugation of human space, reported with satisfaction to the collective leadership. Human resistance, minimal. Their technology is primitive, their tactics predictable. Full colonization can proceed ahead of schedule. What the Meridians didn't know was that every engagement was being studied, every weapon signature analyzed, every communication intercepted by stealth technology beyond their detection capabilities. General Chen sat in the war room, surrounded by her staff. They've established their forward base at Proxima Centauri, as predicted. Their supply lines are extended. Their communication network is not fully operational. Admiral Cho nodded. It's time. The first hint that the Meridians had miscalculated came when 3 of their supply convoys vanished simultaneously. Before they could investigate, quantum distortions rippled through their communication network, severing connections between their forward elements and command structure. At Proxima Centauri, First Observer received fragmented reports of attacks throughout their newly claimed territory. The reports made no sense. Human ships appearing from nowhere, using weapons technologies the Meridians had never encountered. Impossible. First Observer insisted. Their technology is primitive. We've seen their capabilities. The reality became clear when the first wave of Phoenix fleet dropped out of hyperspace around Proxima. These weren't the bulky, utilitarian vessels the Meridians had encountered before. These ships were sleek predators, their hulls incorporating metamaterials that absorbed rather than reflected energy weapons. Admiral Cho stood on the bridge of the Phoenix Prime, humanity's flagship, open communications with the Meridian base. First Observer's image appeared on the screen, its scales shifting through patterns of confusion and alarm. This is Grand Admiral Helena Cho of Earth Concordat, she said calmly. You have invaded human territory, murdered our citizens, and demonstrated hostile intent. We offered peace. You chose war. First Observer's scales pulsed with rapid color changes. How is this possible? Your technology is not what you thought. Cho finished. What you encountered was our exploration fleet. This is our war fleet. The battle for Proxima Station lasted less than an hour. The Meridian defenders fought bravely, but were overwhelmed by weapons they couldn't counter. Quantum phase torpedoes that bypassed their shields, gravity lance technology that crushed their hull plating, and electronic warfare that corrupted their targeting systems. Captain Zhang led Echo Squadron in precision strikes against the station's power core, navigating defenses designed to stop much larger vessels. The Perseverance, once a simple scout ship, now moved like a ghost through Meridian fire, its advanced stealth systems making it nearly invisible. As the station's defenses crumbled, First Observer sent a desperate message to the collective homeworld. Humans, technological assessment catastrophically incorrect. Request immediate reinforcements. They have weapons we cannot. The transmission cut off as the station's communication array exploded. Within days, humanity had reclaimed all its frontier systems. The Meridian invasion force, cut off from support and facing an enemy they hadn't prepared for, fought desperately but futilely. 1 month after the Battle of Proxima Station, Captain Zhang stood beside Admiral Cho as they received the Meridian surrender delegation aboard the Phoenix Prime. First Observer was not among them, replaced by a higher-ranking official called Supreme Arbiter. The collective acknowledges its error in assessment. The Supreme Arbiter said, scales muted in submission colors. We request terms for cessation of hostilities. Admiral Cho's expression remained impassive. Unconditional withdrawal from human space. Return of all captured personnel, living or deceased. Reparations for lives lost. And recognition of human territory as sovereign and inviolable. The Supreme Arbiter's scales rippled with reluctance. The collective has never encountered humanity before. Cho interrupted. We are not like the other species you've subjugated. Remember that. As the Meridian delegation departed, Zhang turned to Admiral Cho. Do you think they'll honor the terms? Cho watched the Meridian shuttle depart. They will for now, but they'll be back, eventually, with better intelligence, better weapons, and will be ready, Zhang said with quiet confidence. Yes, Cho agreed. But next time, we won't show them just our scout ships. Next time, they'll face the full might of humanity from the start. In the depths of space, the Meridian fleet retreated, their confidence shattered by an enemy they had catastrophically underestimated. For the first time in their 1,000-year expansion, the collective had encountered a species that had outthought, outmaneuvered, and outfought them. And as the last Meridian ship crossed the border of human space, a message followed them, a simple phrase in their own language that would echo through their empire. That was just a scout. Our main fleet hasn't even arrived yet.